senior Dharma teacher with Empty Moon, and I'll give a Dharma talk tonight, this morning. So this talk is about sharing my experience and an invitation. And I'd like to talk about ancestors. For several years, I was involved in community projects here in Long Beach, and I worked closely with young people of color, many of whom are first and second generation immigrants, mostly Latinx. Among the many things I admire about them is their reverence for their ancestors. They especially respect their parents and grandparents. They have a profound appreciation of how many hardships their parents endured to take them away from dangerous or hopeless conditions and give them a chance in life. I'm from the baby boom generation. We experienced a lot of conflict and estrangement from our families in the 60s and 70s. Most of those ruptures have healed. But even though my parents taught me my core values, there are still chasms between our moral outlooks that can never be crossed. Judging by my grandparents, I always thought that the German branch of the family would have been enthusiastic Nazis if they had stayed in Germany. Then, on my father's side, I'm descended from pilgrims who came to Connecticut in the 17th century. I was always taught to be proud of their courage and commitment. But, the history of those people is that they slaughtered the indigenous people they encountered, and they ruthlessly oppressed other religious faiths. So, my ancestral heritage includes a lot that is shameful. As a result, I never identified strongly with my predecessors or genealogy. I always had the attitude that I am not my DNA, and that it's the work of our lives to create ourselves. But hanging out with these young folks who feel connected to and supported by their heritage and ancestors, I was surprised to find myself feeling bereft. More and more, I felt a longing for connection with the ancestors. But my lineage is a pretty flimsy thread. But then I expanded my view a little bit, and I remembered that my ancestors include relatives like my great-uncle Ralph Seymour, whom I've always admired. He was a writer, an artist, and a publisher in the early to mid 20th century in Chicago. He was open-minded in a conventional family. He published a novel with gay characters in 1917. That was pretty bold and courageous at that time. He showed me we can be embedded in the heart of the family and not be constrained by its narrow worldviews. Then I expanded my view a little more, and I realized that the people we revere can serve as our ancestors, even if we don't share DNA at all. Dolores Huerta, who's still very much alive and kicking, she can inspire me as an ancestor nonetheless, for her lifelong commitment to justice for her community. And then that kind of invited me to expand my view a little more, and it hit me with a real wave of gratitude. The centuries of teachers of the Dharma are my ancestors. They're our ancestors. We chant together in one of our dedications. We give thanks to all the ancestors of meditation in the still halls, the unknown women and men, centuries of enlightened women and men. I've been a student of Zen for decades, and a koan student for most of those years. Recently, I took a vacation from koan study. My life is full of striving, of pressure to hit the mark and make the grade, just like the lives of most of us. And for a while, I needed to stop participating in the striving and let my practice be a call to simple presence and gratitude. And this vacation from koans has been a wonderful deepening time in my practice. But the ancestors called me back to koan study. Every genuine spiritual path invites us to compassion, insight, and presence, and this Zen path is no exception. But in this Zen path, there's a unique treasure that koan practice offers us. We can hang out with the ancestors. When we accept the gift of engaging koans, we breathe with them. They're right next to us on the cushions, flicking our ears and twisting our noses. When we invite koans into our practice and our lives, the ancestors who created them are our companions. There are many ways to love and revere and engage with the koan practice that our ancestors have given us. And every way of loving and revering and engaging them is the right way. Sometimes we strive and strain and feel like pounding our heads. And we can just also be still and hang out with ancestors and their teachings. When we begin koan study, we start with our ancestor Jiaozhou, whose student asks him if a dog has Buddha nature. He responds mu, which means no. Jiaozhou invites us to tumble into not knowing, which is a great gift. A favorite subject for many Dharma talks is Baizhang and the fox. They invite us to humility and bowing to impermanence. Wei Neng, the sixth patriarch, that's my favorite story of all, invites us to trust the Dharma when it seizes our hearts and minds. Wei Ming, who pursued the sixth patriarch when he had the bowl and the robe, he teaches us to let go of our certainties and to bow humbly before the Dharma. What else do the ancestors teach us? For me, hanging out with them teaches me stillness instead of striving. We don't conquer confusion and not knowing to get to the teaching. The confusion and the not knowing are the teaching. The ancestors teach me to be humble instead of being right. When insight arises, it's a gift, not an accomplishment. The ancestors teach me to be playful as well as determined. When I forget to laugh at my own folly and absurdity, I get grim and hard. Sometimes determination is exactly what we need. And the koans remind me that sometimes I need to be a fool and enjoy the hilarity and delight of their teaching. The ancestors teach me to enjoy the bumbling instead of beating myself up because I'm not always skillful. There are many reasons to be grateful for this challenging, transformative Zen practice. And hanging out humbly and joyfully with the ancestors is a special gift of our path. This is an excerpt from a poem I found online. It's entitled, You are the Answer to the Dreams of Your Ancestors. It's written by Ando Kinneret Yardena, and it's dedicated to Bernie Glassman Roshi. She wrote this poem during the 2018 Zen Peacemakers Auschwitz-Birkenau Bearing Witness Retreat. You are the answer to the dreams of your ancestors. The waters of your love have carved through the limestone mountains of the generations. The steep cliffs by which we've journeyed to be together here, the caverns inside which we press our foreheads to the earth, offering up our lives in total surrender. Rest now, dear ones, knowing we are here. We are here among you. We are praying for and tending this sacred world for the next ones who will come. So one day they will know you too. And I would only say, I don't think our ancestors need to rest. She invites them to rest. They are very much with us. They're very much alive and kicking our butts. So, to return to the invitation I mentioned earlier, there are many ways to engage koan study authentically. There are many ways to engage Zen practice authentically. If koan study is calling to you, but you're uncertain or scared, that's wonderful. It means they're alive for you and they're calling you. And the ancestors are alive. Jump in and hang out with them. You'll be in great company. Thank you.